Hey there, Steelers Nation! Before we jump into today's hot topics, let's take a moment to recognize something important. This team is always striving to improve. Whether it's on the field, in the locker room, or at the drawing board, the Pittsburgh Steelers are committed to getting better and delivering results that live up to this franchise's legacy. If you're as passionate about the black and gold as we are, hit that like button to show your support for the team. And don't forget to subscribe for exclusive Steelers content. You don't want to miss what we've got lined up. Now, let's dive into the big questions facing the Steelers as we approach the playoffs. Steelers fans, let's address the elephant in the room. The secondary is struggling, and it's costing us games. Early in the season, it looked like the addition of Donte Jackson, acquired in the Deontay Johnson trade, was a smart move. Partnered with Joey Porter Jr., Jackson brought veteran experience and solid play to the cornerback position. But lately, Jackson's performance has dipped dramatically. Once a potential cornerstone for the Steelers' future, he's now a glaring weak spot in the defense. In the last 2 games alone, Jackson has allowed passer ratings of 142.7 and 118.8, numbers that make even the most loyal fans cringe. Enter DJ Reed. Currently in the final year of a $33 million contract with the New York Jets, Reed has quietly been one of the league's most reliable corners. According to Pro Football Focus, his coverage grade, 72.8, and completion percentage allowed, 58.8%, far outshine Jackson's numbers. While Jackson has 5 interceptions this season, his inconsistency has left the Steelers vulnerable when it matters most. If the Steelers decide to move on from Jackson after the season, Reed could be a prime target in free agency. He's not just an upgrade, he's a potential game changer for this secondary. But here's the catch. Signing Reed will require a significant investment, even with the Steelers projected to have $53.9 million in cap space in 2025. Steelers Nation, what do you think? Should the team go all in on DJ Reed? Or is there another solution for shoring up the secondary? Let us know in the comments. This is a debate you don't want to sit out. Let's shift gears and talk about the coaching staff, specifically defensive coordinator Teryl Austin. After 3 straight losses, the Steelers' defense has been outscored 90-40. Aside from a single pick 6 against the Ravens, this unit has been shredded in every way possible. Communication breakdowns, blown coverages, and a lack of adjustments have all been on full display. Following the Christmas Day loss to the Chiefs, multiple players voiced frustrations about teammates failing to execute their assignments, a clear sign of deeper issues within the defense. While Mike Tomlin is known to have a heavy hand in defensive game planning, it's Austin who could find himself on the chopping block. The Steelers don't typically fire coaches under contract, but given the team's recent struggles and the high stakes of the playoffs, exceptions could be made. Here's the big question, Steelers Nation. If the defense collapses again in Week 18 or during the playoffs, should Austin be held accountable? Or do you think the blame lies elsewhere? We want to hear your take. This is a topic that could shape the team's future heading into 2025. Despite the recent skid, the Steelers are in the playoffs. But let's be real. Just making the postseason isn't enough for a franchise with 6 Lombardi trophies in the case. Steelers fans expect more, and anything short of a deep playoff run will feel like a disappointment. The team's playoff matchup could offer some relief, as an easier opponent may await in the wild card round. But let's not kid ourselves. Even a first-round win won't erase the concerns surrounding this team. The offense has been inconsistent, the defense has struggled, and the coaching staff is under fire. The real question is, what defines success for this Steelers team? Is it enough to win a wild card game and call it progress? Or does this team need to prove it can compete with the NFL's elite to justify the faith of the fan base? Steelers Nation, what do you think? Would a single playoff win satisfy you? Or do you demand more from this team? And what changes do you believe are most critical to ensuring long-term success? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We're all ears. Looking ahead, the Steelers have some monumental decisions to make. From potential changes in the secondary to reevaluating the coaching staff, nothing should be off the table. General Manager Omar Khan has shown he's not afraid to make bold moves, and with significant cap space available in 2025, the Steelers are positioned to reshape this roster if necessary. But here's the thing. Change doesn't come easy, and it doesn't always guarantee success. The Steelers are a franchise built on stability and tradition, but even the most storied organizations must evolve to stay competitive. The question is, how much change is too much? And how much are you, the fans, willing to tolerate if it means returning to the top of the NFL? Let's start with the elephant in the room, the Steelers' three-game losing streak. After climbing to a 10-3 record and sitting comfortably atop the AFC North, the Steelers have stumbled, dropping critical games and falling to second place in the division. The frustrations aren't just showing on the field, they've seeped into the locker room, and it's not looking good. Veteran players like Deshaun Elliott and Patrick Queen, two of the Steelers' marquee free agent signings this past offseason, have voiced their frustrations publicly. Elliott blasted the defense after the Christmas Day loss to the Kansas City Chiefs, criticizing how wide-open opposing receivers were all game. Queen, meanwhile, lamented the lack of accountability, saying, "No one is doing anything about it." These comments are rare for a Steelers team known for its tight-knit locker room culture. So what's changed? According to former Steelers safety and Super Bowl champion Ryan Clark, the team's reliance on free agent signings this year might be to blame. Clark, speaking on ESPN's First Take, broke down why Pittsburgh's locker room issues are so concerning. When you have these teams and start to put different pieces on them, right? When you go and get a Deshaun Elliott, who's a free agent, you bring in Dante Jackson, who's a free agent, and you're starting to put these pieces together to try to build a team. That's different for Pittsburgh, Clark explained. Clark pointed out that the Steelers historically build their rosters through the NFL draft, developing homegrown talent who understand and embody the Steelers way. He compared this year's approach to the rare but impactful signing of James Farrior in the early 2000s, noting that Farrior quickly became a cornerstone of the team. "This team is different now," Clark continued. "There aren't a lot of these homegrown and home-raised Steelers that were drafted here, that understand the culture, that know it's supposed to be done one way. Because what used to happen when we were having these sorts of things is everybody pointed at themselves." Clark's comments highlight a cultural shift in the Steelers' approach to roster building. While General Manager Omar Khan made bold moves to bring in high-profile talent, the gamble seems to have disrupted the team's chemistry. Clark didn't hold back when discussing the recent finger-pointing within the Steelers' defense. When you ask Deshaun Elliott a question and say, "Hey man, what could be better?" You know what you're supposed to say? "I gotta be better," Clark emphasized. "Now, when we get into the room and we lock those doors, we can throw hands if we got to. But you don't let folks into your house like that when you're losing." This lack of accountability and public airing of grievances is a stark contrast to the Steelers' storied history of keeping internal issues, well, internal. It's a reminder of how quickly things can spiral when the focus shifts from team unity to individual frustrations. The struggles of the Steelers' defense aren't limited to chemistry issues. The on-field performance has been just as concerning. Over the past 3 games, the Steelers have been outscored 90-40, with the pass defense being a glaring weak spot. Against the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes picked apart the Steelers' secondary, throwing for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns without turning the ball over. Injuries to Joey Porter Jr. and Dante Jackson have forced backups like Cam Sutton and James Pierre into larger roles, but their performances have been underwhelming at best. Former NFL head coach Rex Ryan even called out Sutton and Pierre for their poor play, adding fuel to the fire. With Joe Burrow and the Bengals up next, the Steelers' secondary faces another tough test. If they don't clean up their coverage, the playoff-bound Bengals could make quick work of Pittsburgh's defense. Despite their recent struggles, the Steelers have already secured a playoff spot. But let's be honest, Steelers Nation, just making the postseason isn't enough. This is a franchise built on winning championships, not settling for early exits. The upcoming game against the Bengals is a chance to right the ship before the playoffs begin. A strong performance could restore some confidence and momentum heading into the wild card round. But if the defense continues to falter and the locker room remains divided, it's hard to see this team making a deep playoff run. Steelers Nation, this team is at a pivotal moment. The decisions made over the next few weeks could define not just this season, but the future of the franchise. From the secondary to the coaching staff and beyond, there's so much to discuss. And we want to hear from you. Should the Steelers pursue DJ Reed in free agency? Is Terrell Austin's time in Pittsburgh coming to an end? And what does success look like for this team in the postseason? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button to show your support. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you never miss a beat. Your opinions matter, Steelers Nation. Drop them in the comments below and let's keep the conversation going. Here we go, Steelers. Let's fight through the adversity and get back to where we belong, on top. See you in the next video.